What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here. So today we're going to do another Addict review. What are we reviewing today? We're going to review Battle Chasers. Now, Battle Chasers gameplay is more of a old style turn-based RPG, you know, those old Final Fantasy games. Mainly 1 through 10 because anything after that was kind of trash, but so let's go ahead and get straight into this. I do want to appreciate the developers for sending me the review code because I definitely enjoyed their game. But that won't in any way, shape, or form impact my decision on how I felt about the game. So let's just go ahead. First thing I want to really bring up is the music in this game is really, really good. I did like it. You know, you had that boss music, that regular battle music, the overall layout of the music itself from depending on what kind of area you're in. I do think that was a very good addition to this because I do believe that a soundtrack can make or break a game. And for the most part, this game has a phenomenal soundtrack. Now, I do feel like, you know, coming from that Final Fantasy era, where that soundtrack really enlightened that experience and helped me enjoy that experience more, that I expect this from a turn-based RPG. So the next thing I want to bring into a little bit is the combat system. Now, the combat system in here, it's, you know, you can, there's 6 or 7 people you can have on your team, but you can only have 3 in your party. So, you know, it's more of a Final Fantasy 8-ish. You know, there's not a lot of Final Fantasies that only had 3 people. But, you know, it's got that 3 people. Now, they do have ultimates. They have supers. Now, you have this thing called a burst mode. Be on the bottom left of the screen. So you have, first off, you start off with 1 bar. So you can activate everyone's 1 bar. And it's a really cool concept because some people got, you know, healing support character bars. Some people got damage. Some people got just, you know, inflicting status effects on the enemy. And I think that's really enlightening, and I think that's really nice. Later on in the game, you end up getting, you know, 2 and 3 burst bars. And let's say, you know, every person has a burst bar. I'm trying to say limit break, but this isn't 7. But every person has a burst ability. So every one of them has a 1, 2, and 3. So let's say if you have a 3, because everyone shares the burst bar. So let's say if I get 3, that means all of my heroes can use 1 each, or one of them can use 2 and the other one use 1, or just one hero can use 3. So I thought that was a really unique aspect that you don't really see a lot of people doing. So I definitely enjoyed that point. Now the animations into this, they're really nice, you know, especially considering this is an indie game. It had really nice animations. Some of the creatures, you know, when you kill them, you see hands and stuff grabbing them, ripping them back down to what I assume they're prospecting hell. So I like that aspect. Now, I do want to use the analogy that this did take a little bit of the point system from that's in Final Fantasy 9. You know how like in 9, for those of you that played it, there was a perk system to where you could click, you know, this ability costs 2, this ability costs 4, and it built up that character depending on how you want it. Well, this is exactly how this game is. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but you know, some people don't like other games, you know, taking features from other games. But I think it was okay, and I think it was a nice aspect. You can read books to get more perk skills, or you can just do the old-fashioned level up. I believe it's 2 perks per level. One of the things that I did notice in this game that I haven't really seen in a lot of games is you have a shop system. You only have 1 town on the entire game. But that 1 town has shops. Now you can invest your money into these shops so they have better equipment that they can have. You know, it starts at 500, 1,000, 6,000. I don't really remember if it goes anything higher than that. But so when you come into that perspective, the only thing I can really think of that's ever done something like that is Skyrim. And it didn't even really build into it because, you know, when you do this, it gives them more stuff that's in their inventory. It lets you do more stuff. Some of them you have to max out before you can use their facility. Like in here, there's actually a crafting system. It's actually a really, really good crafting system. Now, most of the time, the legendary weapons are cut behind the crafting system, and for the most part, I hate when legendary weapons are behind a crafting system because I feel like there should be lore behind legendary weapons. Everyone, and they do have books that relate to the weapons themselves, but part of me would like to have, you know, had to fight certain creatures, which, you know, some of them you did, but it kind of felt like the legendary weapons were just thrown in there and you had to actually go look for them. I wanted more of a story orientated where you had to find one and then they told you there were more, something related to that. Little things like that can make the game more better in the long run. If you have a lot of little things misleading, then the whole big picture is definitely not going to be as thrilling. But that's definitely not even the it's a minor fact. One of the things that I don't want to really go into detail, but if you enjoy a challenge, the final boss in this shit is ridiculous. I kind of raged a little bit, and it takes a lot to get me to rage on these particular games especially. But definitely, if you get to that last boss, prepare for a challenge. I was max level and he was still mopping the floor with me. So these are a couple things I do want them to improve on. I don't want to focus on, I will never on this channel just say a game's trash. I will, besides jokingly, because I do joke on IOP, I joke on Planet Xbox. But if you ask me why I think that game's trash, I will tell you why I think that game's trash. If I'm telling you a game's trash because I'm jokingly, probably it's just a joke. But I'm never going to say that. One of the things I really, really, really want them to improve on is some of the game was voice acted and some of it wasn't. Some of the dialogue had voice. I don't even know how really the word to use for that, but they would talk during the voice, and some were just straight up dialogue. You had to read them. I feel like if they would have tried to push the majority of the game as voice, and I don't mind reading dialogue. I've read dialogue my entire life. It's like I said, I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy. But I do feel like we're in 2018 and, voice is probably really expensive. So I definitely understand this, especially maybe the budget for this game wasn't particularly big because it is an indie. One thing I'm really, probably my most negative thing about this game is the dungeons kind of didn't fit the story. You went to a dungeon, you did this, you went to another dungeon, you do that. They did have a, what's the word I'm looking for? They had a difficulty setting. So if you did it on normal, you got a normal drop. If you did it on hard, you got a heroic drop. And if you did it on the hardest difficulty, you got a legendary drop. So I do think that was cool, but I feel like they could have did more with the dungeons. They could have made more sense to why you're there than just, you go here to do this. Maybe more lore behind these sections. It would have made more of an enlightened story. And my another biggest gripe about the game is the story. The story's really good. And they definitely left a cliffhanger at the end to make you know that this is going to have a sequel. But I'm just like, I felt like it could have been a little bit shown better. And I can't really go into detail a whole lot because I don't want to spoil the game for any of you guys. But I do feel like that this is possibly the biggest downside of this game. Is the fact that the story I feel like was told, but it could have been told way better. They could have had way better heightening points to make the game resonate more to you as a player. All the characters were definitely, I enjoyed them all. I do feel like that, because if you pick the 3 characters, those 3 characters are the only ones that you're really going to see. So the rest of the 3 to 4, you don't really get that, that interaction with them. So I do think that was an issue. I think maybe they can fix that in the sequel. Do something like Final Fantasy did. Have set cutscenes that have all of them in it. Even if you can't do cutscenes, you have to go to the, the voice on each side, the picture and voice. Do that, but just have all the characters in it. Because I did feel that the fact that you only got really attached to the ones that you used in combat was a little bit of a downside of this game. So what do you guys think? What's more I'm looking for? I do believe this is worth the money that you put into it. It's a fantastic game. I enjoyed every bit of it. I think it's good, man. I think you guys should go out there and try, especially if you're into Final Fantasy. This is one of the only games I see that's doing that Final Fantasy thing, and they're doing it really well. So tell me what you guys think. Did any of you guys get this? Put it in the comments. I don't know why I said description. Tell me if you guys get this game. Tell me if the last boss was hard to you. Now, try to keep it spoiler free, but if you got to this part of the video, there's some spoilers in the comment section because I said that. My apologies. Were you a big fan of Final Fantasy? And if it was, which Final Fantasy was your favorite one at the bottom? If you liked the video, if you liked the review, be sure to like the video. Definitely helps out. And subscribe for more review content. This is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.